Okay, awesome. Is it recording? There we go. Hello, as she said, I'm Stephanie. This is Tiffany, actually. We titled tonight's huddle Half In, Half Out because I really want you to hear Tiffany's story. One of the things that I know I stress a lot with my team, and I know many of our leaders stress with this team as at large, is are you half in or are you half out? Like, are you basically half-assing things or making excuses as to maybe why you didn't post today, or making excuses as to why you weren't in your stories, or why you couldn't buy your products this month, or whatever it is, and what can happen with that half in, half out mentality. So I know I might have some things to say at the end, but I really want to give Tiffany a chance to talk because she has like a prime example of this. She's actually been with me for probably like 3 years or something. She is local to me. I've actually known her for many, many, many years. And I'm sure she won't mind me saying this, but when she first started as my customer, she was so wishy-washy about things. Like randomly she'd be like, well, I can only afford like a half a black label basically, so can I just come to your house and give you cash for this? And just all sorts of inconsistencies and what that kind of did. And what was it that really clicked for you on being all in, and what a huge difference that made. So please welcome Tiffany.
Yay. Okay. So yeah, like Steph said, we have known each other forever. And it's funny that she said wishy-washy. That's literally like one of the top things I have written right here is like wishy-washy. And so that's exactly kind of where I was at and what I was doing. Like, so I guess to go back to the beginning, I became a customer of Steph's like originally, shortly after becoming a mom. I wanted and it was like I was going insane because I was doing the same thing all the time and thinking something would be different. And I was so skeptical in the beginning, like she had been doing this and posting about it. And I was just like, yeah, whatever, basically. And even when we talked about it, she was like, well, and a lot of the people that I had seen, or even Steph, like had lost weight on it. And I was actually, which I related to Katia a lot too, because I was at an unhealthy point where I desperately needed to gain weight. I was probably about in 96 pounds. And I was always like that. I've always been small. I'm a smaller framed person, but it was unhealthy. And I have a lot of food allergies and other things like that. So I was hesitant and, long story short, whatever, I just said I was desperate at that point. Like I was always napping with my son. And if he wasn't napping, I was getting frustrated because I was tired. And then I was like, why won't you nap? And then if you don't nap, I don't get to nap with you. And then it was just like, I was a crabby mom. I was none of the things that I wanted to be. So I was like, I'll try it, whatever, and I think I got a 3-day sample, and I was like 2 hours into taking the first day, and I was blowing up her phone. Like, I need more of this. But like she said, there was a road of, and hard times too, just where, like she said, it was like, I literally can't afford it, but I need something, whether that's like just some black label, to get me through. But it was like that when I became a promoter as well. And it was like that for a while, especially when I first jumped in. I have never done network marketing before, so I'm completely new to it. And so I would kind of just go out on a whim and just kind of, do things. And then Steph would give me some, love and direction here and there and be like, here's the better way to word this and do things like that. So it was a slow learning process for me. But in the beginning, I would get super frustrated, like basically, why aren't things falling into my lap? Like, all the things that we all do, or, this girl over here just started too, and look at her, and blah, 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 the things that we all do, So then it took a long time for me to figure out that a lot of it was self work that needed to be done because, you know, I mean, even now, like I'm in a much better place. So like if I'm looking left and looking right, like I'm looking in a healthy way, you know, looking, going, oh, she did that over here and she's got 3 kids. That means I should be able to do this no problem. And I was telling Steph earlier too, like a lot of it I've been, thankfully, because of these Zooms, Sunday nights, Keisha Fitzgerald was on one of them. And she just has a great podcast, a great energy, a great, like a lot of things about her. She's got like a global network of, you know, a community. So like I've been following a lot of her stuff, like to do self-help work. She interviews a lot of like psychologist people, gives you lots of like tips and tricks and tools to just help yourself, help your business and stuff like that. So I've been trying to pick up a lot of that stuff on the way. And so that's what we were talking about earlier, is kind of the things that I would say a lot in the beginning, or excuses to myself, you know, would be like, oh, I don't have time, I'm busy, I'm a mom, I'm this, I'm that, I've got all these things going on. Well, you know, after showing up Zoom after Zoom, it's like you see people, like Katie Harris comes to mind, you know, she's a teacher, also a mom. Several of us, obviously, I can see so many people, if you have kids in the background, you know, the whole mom thing. Steph's a mom. She runs a photography business, you know what I mean? So it comes down to like, there's a balance, and you don't want to tip the scale between giving yourself the grace of, you know, did I post today? Did I, you know, do all the things I need to do? There's a fine line of letting something slide and giving yourself grace, or just making excuses for yourself and just not showing up. And yeah, so there was a lot of that. And then it was like, once I was finally consistent and consistently showing up for not only myself but everybody else, you know, because that's the other thing, is it's like, I told Steph in the beginning, even being a promoter, you know, I'm like, I don't do sales. I'm not salesy. I'm not this, I'm not that. And it was just all these statements that, you know, it's, which is obviously not, now that I know better, what's not what we do here. But that's the other thing, is we have something that people need, and a lot of people don't even know that they need yet. Like, and I think about that all the time too, you know, I like, all of us have our hands on something that somebody else needs. I, for so long, needed something and was too stubborn and all the other things, you know, to just, and then thank God I finally did give in, you know, to try something, because look where it got me.
About is on the terms of being only half in and half out, and when we're talking about excuses as to why we're not posting or why we're not buying our products every month. So like, we as promoters, I mean, we can make those excuses all day long, like, hey, I can't buy my products because I'm broke or something like this. Okay, well, we have a 2 and free program. So if you get out there and talk about it and you're loud and proud about it, like what it's doing for you, we can refer to people and get it for free. So there's always a way. It's just taking that extra step and putting both feet in versus just one foot in. And I know one of the things that Tiffany struggled with a lot in the beginning is there are 2, like me and another girl here in Sioux Falls, local to us, who have a lot of our local market already. And we know a lot of the same people from growing up out here. And one of the things that I remember talking with Tiffany about many times is, well, you know, you two both have the market. You two, if I'm going to talk to this person, chances are you probably already talked to them. Mm-hmm. And I remember having to just like drill it in her head, like, listen, there's going to be people that know people everywhere. And not only that, there are people who are like 200Ks and above who live in a small town of like no people, pretty much. So there's really no excuse. It's really just being fearful of, you know, what if I'm going to fail? Well, you can't fail unless you quit, unless you don't put both of your feet in. And I want you to talk about like when that clicked. And she's been so consistent. And I told Courtney this actually recently. So say hi just once.
Mom.
No, okay.
Where's my blanket?
It's in my room. I don't know. Melissa, can you provide it? Okay, I'm so sorry. So I told Courtney this. Like Tiffany's been with us for about 3 years or so, and she was wishy-washy for a really long time. And I've noticed over the past probably 6 or 8 months how consistent and driven she has been. She's been up in my inbox asking the questions. She's been like, I was on guide this and I'm asking a question about this. It's like I can see physically that she's putting in that effort, that she's all in. She's been telling me for years how much she needs this. And finally she's like, I know I need this, so now I can do this. But she's been doing so much self-help work for this, getting her mind right. And she messaged me one day not that long ago, excited. What were you excited about?
Oh, yes. Yeah. Well, and that's the thing is that it did click one day, and I was like, okay, I've like, obviously not going to lie to myself or any of you guys, like I've been half assing it. And, if I'm getting a check like this, like what would it be like if I were to basically actually apply myself like all the time? And not thinking even in a selfish way, but also, like Steph said, basically it's excuses and it's fear. And it's like, I overcomplicate the shit out of everything. I'm so indecisive. It's like that with everything in my life. So, if there was an excuse for it, I could come up with it. And so like Steph said, like it's been through the self-help stuff and like being patient and just being like slow and steady wins the race. Like there's been days where, and it's different, some days I do feel like it's like, oh, I got the perfect picture and the perfect post and I worded that perfect. And then, I'll post something and then stuff will be like sliding it in my inbox. Hey, actually reword this to this, which, is great. Like I'm here for it. I'm here to learn. And there's, that was the thing I think I lost earlier is it feels selfish to not share about stuff like this. That's something that's helped me so immensely and that could help so many other people. It's kind of selfish to not share about it. And like she said, with the people, like all of us being local to each other, like me and the other girl, and then her, like me and this other girl graduated from the same high school within, I think, the same year of each other. And then same with me and Steph, we were all within like a couple years of each other. So not only are we from the same town, like the same school, the same friend group, everything like that, but like we were saying earlier, different people relate to me or Steph or our other friend, and for different reasons. So yeah. And then like Steph was saying, the thing that I was excited about was after I started just kind of getting out of my head and being like, well, whatever, I'm just going to be consistent, whether that means just, posting every day and staying in every day. I kind of had to stop following like society or even anybody else's, whether it's your mom, anybody else's, opinion or view or whatever their checklist is. And I had to just make it for myself and be like, okay, which, was funny that we came out with this challenge that we're doing, because that was kind of my own, I had to just sit down and be like, all right, you're just going to at least post your stories. You're going to, just do X, Y, Z, whatever that looks like for you. And if that's good enough for you and you're showing up, then that's what you need to be doing. Because yeah, that's when it clicked. Like I said, it was just like I got out of my head and was like, not only the money, but the impact you could be making if you were to just, and on the podcast and the self-help and the books and stuff that I do and listen to, it's just, I hear a lot of quotes and a lot of analogies that stick with me. And one of them basically was like, I'm not ahead of you or any better than you. I'm just willing to look stupid more than you are. I'm willing to fail more than you are. And basically put myself out there. And you don't grow, I guess, until you get uncomfortable. Like, I don't know about you guys, but when I'm doing the same thing every day, day in and day out, is when I'm like, oh my gosh, is this over yet? Like I could pull my hair out one by one and I would probably be happier than I am right now. So like you've got to take that weird stage of the unknown, the uncomfortable. Like, I mean, yeah, you've just got to you know, and you've just got to do it. You don't have to have the perfect post and the perfect this, the perfect that, because your audience that you're speaking to is going to be like spoken to by what you're saying. You know what I mean? Like, you don't need to put on, you know, a facade, and people are just going to connect with you for you being you. And so that's what I kind of figured out too, is like, cause I would just, like I said, I overthink the crap out of everything. And I'd be like, Steph, I don't know what to post, like blah, blah, blah. How do I say this? And it's like, okay, she can't, you know, write the damn post for me and click post. I mean, she could and she would, but then what's that going to do for me? You know, like at the end of the day, I can't sit there and be proud of myself for something that I didn't work for. So I just kind of had to figure out to give myself, you know, be patient, and be consistent, and then, yeah, show up for myself. And then that's going to be good enough. So, and like I was telling these stuff earlier, that I was like, I'm going to get you connected with Courtney in case you need stuff while I'm gone, blah, blah, blah. And sure enough, I had to enroll somebody while, so I was messaging with Courtney back and forth. And I want to say this was like one of the first times that I had ever even gotten a check. And we were chatting back and forth, and I said something to Courtney, and she just kind of, what I want to call course corrected me and was like, okay, number one, I'm thankful for any money I make from my phone, even if that is $5 or whatever, X amount, whatever it was I said, you know, and was kind of like, oh, really? I made $10 or whatever the, you know, the thing was. And so it's just like, we had to laugh about that earlier, because it's like, okay, came a long way since then. So yeah, I mean, you learn what to do, what not to do by doing something and being like, well, that didn't work, I'm not going to do that again, or you know what I mean? So and you learn what feels good and what doesn't, and like I said, we're all different from everybody else. So you know, that was, I think, when I really got out of my head too, because, and I was telling Steph this earlier, you know, when I quit, or when I was still kind of being wishy-washy and kind of quit posting for a long time in the beginning, like I can't even tell you, there was probably 4 to 5 people that, like I was telling you, we all went to high school together, that signed up like right after, with another girl that is still promoting, right after I quit posting about it. So it was just like a swift kick in the butt, you know, like shoulda, woulda, coulda, you know, had you kept going, look at what would have happened. And so that's just, and I hear that a lot in the self-help stuff that I hear it so often. It's most people quit right before they have their breakthrough.
Yeah.
And so that's what I've learned. The biggest thing is it's like, and I would get on this all the time, and I still tell Steph this all the time. I'm like, I'm so not good at Instagram. I'm not good at this. I don't do reels. I can't dance. You know what I mean? Like, people all have like their talents. Like, I mean, you know, and it's super hard to not look left and not look right and be like, well, or especially when we're scrolling and seeing all these, you know, these things on social media, it's super hard to not have to, you know, and that the hardest thing to ever do is like have to train your mind, or change something that you've been doing your whole life. You know, there's so many people on here too that have opened something up, you know, like listening to Jennifer and Mia on a Zoom. There's been so many people listening to Brittany Lee, just like taking something from each person, that you kind of just compile over time. But the biggest thing that I just keep having to tell myself is just consistency. Like, you know, you don't, like, I still, that's what I was telling a friend earlier, I didn't hit, you know, all damn summer we had the huge bonuses, and I was sitting over here with my thumb up my butt, like, oh, you know, so, but shoulda, woulda, coulda. So it's like, are you going to sit here and feel sorry for yourself and make excuses and be like, well, I don't have this because blah, 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 you know? And I used to be stuck in that way for so long, like, oh, that's just the way I am. I was just made that way. Well, that just runs in my family, or I'm an Aries, or whatever the heck, and it's like, okay, no, are you going to do the work or are you not? So I want to, I've got two little boys, got a 4-year-old and a almost 9-month-old. So I don't want to live a life where I get to the end and I'm like safe, like got no scratches, no bumps, no bruises, made it out alive, because that's not what's going to happen. Like, I'm here for the falling down, getting back up. Like I said, learning what works, what doesn't work. I want to show my kids that if you try something and if you don't like it, you don't do it again. Obviously you to a certain extent, but things like that. So, and don't take advice from somebody that you wouldn't want to trade lives with. So, like, being on these things is what really gets me going, because all of us have in some way relate to each other, no matter what it is, even if it's just down to the vitamins that we take. But, something along the way that so many people that are still on these here today have said has stuck with me. So yeah, I mean, and just getting curious is the other thing, like I was saying earlier, I'd be like, oh, I'm not good at this, I'm not good at that. It's like, okay, but now, I'm here to learn, and I'm here to, and it is, I've been telling Steph this for a long time. Like, I got caught up so much in the day to day, just like being a working mom still and doing all the things. And so we don't get to hang out as much, but I was just like, doing all my self-help and all the things, I just always have this pull to be like, because it's always about who you surround yourself with, you are who you, like, what you feed yourself and all the things. So it's like, I just kept telling Steph, like, we need to get together, because, you need to be around people too who amp you up and stuff like that. So I told her recently, like, if I need a swift kick in the butt, or if you see me slacking, like, and she, obviously we've got that relationship. And if you don't have that with somebody, like, reach out to a side sister or your upline or somebody, where you can be like, hey, this is my goal. And if I'm not doing it, just be like, Steph, no, should we know each other? So she's not going to be like, hey, why aren't you doing this? Or you are horrible, but she might come and be like, hey, what's going on? You said you wanted to, be showing up and I don't see it, and blah, blah, blah. So yeah, that's the biggest thing that I've got, I guess, is just, showing up for other people that need this, and for yourself too. And obviously a lot of you guys have little ones watching you. So we've got to show up for them too.
Yeah, I love Tiffany's story. Like she said, we've known each other for so long, and to be quite honest, I never saw you joining this company. Like, I never
Right.
saw her joining. I never even saw her asking about the products. If I'm talking 10 years ago, I'm like, there's no way Tiff would ever do something like this. So that's just inspiring in itself, just knowing her background and knowing her story. Some of the things that we just kind of want to hone in on is, so being half in and half out, I have had those feelings. I've been there, had the feelings of, why am I even showing up today, or something, or in not doing the work that I need to be doing to put in. But the fact that I can recognize that and kick myself in the butt right away and get back to work and get back on track has been the reason why I have the life I've got today. One of the things that has really hit me in the past couple of months is, if I didn't walk through all the hard that I walked through with this business, and all the times that I wanted to quit because it was too hard, or because I was giving myself excuses, or all the things, I wouldn't have been able to drop everything and take a last minute emergency flight down to Reno at the beginning of September, when I learned my mom had a heart attack and I didn't know if she was going to live. And I was able to drop everything and buy a plane ticket and go out there. And I was able to be with my family to make the decision that it was best to pull her life support. And that's something that I wouldn't have been able to do before. If I had kept making the excuses and not doing the work, and, putting, just kind of being selfish with all of it, I wouldn't have been able to do that. I wouldn't have had the money to do that. I wouldn't have been able to just be like, hey, sorry, boss, I can't come in. I had like a very demanding corporate job before I started doing this. Like, there's no way that that would have happened. And then I had to fly back down, and we ended up driving actually and made it a longer road trip, but we had to go back down at the end of September for her funeral. And that's another thing that I wouldn't have been able to do, like affordability wise, time wise, but it's because I decided a long time ago that I need to put both feet in, because if I don't, I'm going to sit there and I'm going to struggle on all the things that I've constantly struggled on in my past, and it's not going to change because I wasn't changing. So I know that so many of you, every single one of you on here, has felt that way and has wanted to quit and has wanted to take another foot back out and really evaluate what you're looking at. I know that you felt that way, because you wouldn't be human if you didn't feel that way. But if you want to make this work, and if you want to reach those goals, and if you want to build that legacy, whatever it is that your goals are, you need to put that foot back in and say, buckle up, because you need to just go ahead and do it, you know? And stop feeling sorry for yourself because you think you're too busy or because you think you're broke. If you're broke, then you know the avenue that can get you unbroke, you know? So it's just empowering and inspiring to hear her story. And I was really excited when she told me yes to coming on here talking about her story, because I've known it for a long time. And I was like, and I told her today, I was like, I don't think anybody on here is going to know who you are. And you were going to make a giant impact tonight talking to all these people. So I have nothing else. If you've got nothing else, Court, do you have anything?
Yes, like that was so good. And, I'm sitting here like taking notes as y'all are talking, because we all can agree that it's very important to have goals on our vision board and a very clear why. But it makes me super emotional, like hearing Steph talk and then like thinking about Brittany Lee being there whenever her dad passed away. And just like, I want you to imagine being able to mark something off of your list that you were able to handle and do that you didn't even predict. And that there's something very powerful about that. There's something very powerful about creating a circumstance where you can jump on a flight and be there. There is something very powerful about not having to call into work whenever your dad has a stroke. There is something very powerful about being able to check a box that you didn't even know was going to be a box. And I think so many times, like, we have goals and we have dreams and we have whys, and that's so important. But I want you to imagine a life where, like, we will never be able to predict. I will never be able to put on my, list of things I'm going to check off. I don't want to say anything like negative that, might happen in the future, but I don't know, like, let's just say Gracie needs glasses one day, or contacts, or things that you literally can't predict, but that you'll be able to pivot in life and constantly take action, and you won't be stressed other than what's just happening in front of your face. Because we can't predict for the future, but by showing up every single day, we are creating security for our future, whether it is going through a really shitty time. We're going to be able to show up the way we want to show up in those moments and execute. I mean, like, let's just think of something as silly as like your dishwasher breaking, or a flat tire. Like, maybe it's not a parent passing away. Maybe it's just those little things in life. You probably don't have those written down on your list of dream board items, right? A new washer. I mean, maybe you do. I don't. But you can handle life as it comes to you because you've decided to take control and be a driver and not just a passenger. And that, it speaks volumes about how Steph's been able to show up in her own life, and how Tiff is showing up in her life now and taking control. And so, guys, it goes so much deeper, and it goes so much further than we can even put on paper. It goes so much further than we can even measure, or we can even predict by showing up. I mean, like Coop said it just now in the chat, our efforts are compounded. Our income is compounded. Everything we do in life is residual. I would argue that with anyone. Your exercise habits pay off over time. Your money management pays off over time. You making an effort in your relationship with your children and your husband pays off over time. Everything we do has a long-term consequence that's negative or positive. And so why wouldn't you show up every single day for your life now? Because it's going to pay off forever and ever. Amen. I love that, guys. That hits me so hard and in my feelings, hearing you two women talk. And Tiff, I do know who you are. I didn't whenever Stephanie told me that you were going to do this Zoom. I do now. I remember you and I remember that conversation. Sometimes I cringe because I am a very tough love person, but you wouldn't be here if you didn't decide to have a growth mindset. And that's, a choice you made. You didn't get lucky. You didn't wake up one day and Steph said, okay, like I'm going to do this for you. You literally decided to flip a switch in your head. And that's really cool. And what's also really cool is if you're a leader on this team, and all of you are, what cooler thing than to be a leader and a friend and seeing somebody switch their mind. Stephanie could have been mean, could have written her off, could have just been closed the door. It gives me like literal goosebumps because I know for so long I was the type of person where I would have been like, well, I don't understand somebody that thinks like that. But most people going through a hard time don't really have hope and they might need to borrow yours. And what cooler thing than to have a front row seat to watching someone you care about flip a switch because you didn't write them off as someone that'll never make it. That's got to feel really cool to be Steph sitting next to you right now. So take a note from either one of them or from both of them on ways that you can, I don't know, like change your life, your thinking, and your perspective on this business. Because it's not something you can just put up on a shelf. You can, but I promise you, if you dive in, it can change every corner of your heart. You two women are amazing. Like, thank you so much for getting on here. And Tiff, everyone's going to know who you are. And it's not going to be because you're negative. It's going to be because you decided to put a smile on your face and show up as a mom and as a friend. So that's pretty freaking cool. That's all I got. Like, thank you. That gave me goosebumps. That inspires me. And it also makes me take a look in the mirror as a leader and be like, don't give up on someone, man. You might be the only person that hasn't given up on that person. They may have given up on themselves. So that's super cool. I love you guys. If that didn't like give you goosebumps, like check your pulse because it's really cool to hear other people's stories. I know a lot of us will see each other this week in Vegas, and if you're not there, I hope you have FOMO in the best way possible so that you are like, I'm going to be on that next trip. Not because I want you to sit there and feel sorry for yourself, because I want you to know you'll be on the next one. Go get it, go earn it. You've got plenty of time to make things happen. There's no expiration date on your goals or dreams. Keep showing up. I love you guys. Steph, Tiff, thank you so much. In this recording, I will upload it soon. So if your team didn't jump on, send it, and hopefully whoever needs to hear it will hear it. I love you guys. Y'all have a good week. Bye.